Hey there, it's Crafty Jennabug. Working in my August junk journal once again. Let's see what we can get into today. I love how grungy this thing is. Let's see, we did a few pages. Let's see. Oh, that's right. I made these into pockets, but I never put anything in them. You know what? I think I have an idea. Making a few things to go in these pockets. I have this. It's a poem by William Blake called Sunflower. And I backed it on a piece of scrap paper. It's brown and has these glittery flowers on it. I want to make this less white. So I'm going to color it with some orange and then distress the edges in Vintage Photo. That was Spiced Marmalade, Distress Oxide ink. And now a little Vintage Photo on the edges. That's not working the way I want it to. Let's go back to this. Oops. Now that can live back there. And I made sure to round the edges so that the corners didn't get stuck. I'm just going to distress the back. So I used some Vintage Photo and a blending brush to distress the back of this card. And I want to put this bee on it with more Vintage Photo, but I'll make it much darker. Yes, he's a little off center, but it's a little off center, but I still love it. I still love it. And it will live here. There we go. Now those pockets actually have things in them. Looking at this page, I don't want to do much to it. It's beautiful as it is. I might do a little cluster or something, but I do want to add a border to this part of the page. I think I want it to be this color. I was going to dye this yellow, but I really like it like this. So that's what we're going to do. I am simply going to take a small amount of glue and run a bead I might hand sew that on once that dries. Now this side I do want to do something too. I'm not sure what yet. I might do a tuck spot or side pocket kind of deal. Do something like this. What I like about that is it's 3 different patterns. Alright, once that dries, I think I'll hand sew it in. Sweet. This glue has dried enough for me to be able to sew through. I picked this almost a golden yellow, a golden tan color. It's a DMC floss number 3046 in case anybody's interested. And I'm just going to do a running stitch up here, right around here. Hopefully getting both the border, why is that so hard? Hopefully getting both the border and this at the same time. I'm gonna sew that off camera because it's kind of easier. So yeah, show you what it's like when it's done. Here we go. There it is all sewn up. I just did a running stitch. It's very simple. I left this long because I'm pretty sure I have some sort of bee charm somewhere. I just have to locate it, and I wanted to put something here. So I left it long. for now. In the meantime, I like this as it is. I like this. I want something to go in it. But what? Maybe a tag of some sort. Let me think about it. See what I can come up with. All right, I found a piece of scrap paper from my stash to put in this pocket, to turn into a tag for this pocket. And originally I was going to cut it into a tag shape, but I think I will leave it as it is now. So this way. And I want a collage on the back. I have a bunch of different scraps, and this I want to be in the middle. This will be the front of the tag. I want this in the middle as the focal point. That's the focal point. Apparently my cat has other thoughts. I'm going to use some matte gel and just go to town. I might need a stronger glue. Maybe I should have stuck it up here. Alright. Either way, this really needs to dry. And then I'll trim and go on from there. I think that's going to need some regular glue. Cool, I like that. While that dries, I want to take this top portion. Oh, I got glue on me. I'm going to take this top part here and make a pocket for this page. I don't want to cut my little mouse. Yeah, that'll work. That will work. And I think I'm going to sew some more on it as well with the sewing machine. I sewed across the bottom with a wonky stitch and glued it down as a pocket. And then I have this flower. Looks made out of magazine cuttings. I can link below a video showing how I do these. I think that looks kind of like a sunflower. Before I glue this down to decorate the pocket, I want to put some threads behind it. But I've had a change of heart. So the tag I was making to go here, I decided I want to go in this pocket. And here's why. Because I've changed it a bit. I cut off the top corners to make it have a tag shape and added this honeycomb ribbon. And then I gave it some, let's see if it's sticking. Okay, cool. I gave it some splatters in walnut stain oxide spray and added a little bit of walnut stain across the bottom and the sides, a couple of sides. But now it doesn't fit in this pocket right. I mean, granted, it's not going to fit right now because I have these clamps holding it down. But I do so love it here, right? Right? How cool is that? So I got to make something else for this. I got to come up with something else for this. Here is what I have decided on. I had 2 die-cut flowers, and I'm turning it into a sunflower. I inked around the edges in Distress Oxide ink in WOM Vintage Photo. WOM. And I'm going to put it here, along with the button, of course. And then in this pocket, I have this card. It came out of a scrapbook paper pad, and it was full of just like vintage things to cut out to use in scrapbooks or journals. Note to self, place to write, and on the back it's gorgeously grungy, and it will live there. I am very pleased with both of those pages. Still got to come up with something up here, or just trim it. I think I might just trim it. actually. I need to let these pages dry fully before I work on something else. So that's what we're going to do. So we come now to the first page of the second signature. I decided I've done a fair amount in the first signature. I wanted to spread it out a bit. And I just want to put a poem on this page with a little bit of framing. But I don't like the color of that paper. So I'm just going to use some frayed burlap and a blending brush. So that was a simple page, and I really like the way it's turned out. All these bees buzzing everywhere. Love it. I have this little guy that came from a printable offered by Artsy Fartsy Life. And I kind of like the idea of it just being stuck down to a page as part of a collage. Oh. Or it could be a side pocket. So I have a plan for this page. I am going to do a little something like this. These two little guys came from a Tim Holtz snippet pack. And this came from a piece of scrapbook paper that was fairy themed. And then this came from the Artsy Fartsy printable. I think it is super cute. I'm going to make it a pocket. But before I do that, I want to make some some rings in brown, kind of like you would if you set your coffee and it had spilled a little. So now I have some bark brown acrylic paint. I'm just going to need a little bit. Well, that's more than a little bit, but okay. And I will add some water. And then smear it around. Look at this little guy. You know what? I'm still not 100% on these splatters. So I'm going to use this stencil I made for splatters. And I'm just going to make a couple of small ones. Going to dry that, and then I will assemble all the things. I found a free printable for making a little envelope with a sunflower pattern on it. I can link below the Pinterest page I found it on. I just glued up those two little flaps. Cute. I distressed all around it with vintage photo. Kind of want to make it look a little grungier though. I haven't decided. So this little tag will go on here. I distressed it with vintage photo. It's one I just punched out of some paper, some scrapbook paper with the Cricut, out of this clipping sticker book by Tim Holtz, an ideology. I have For the Wondrous Beauty. And I'm just gonna stick it on there like that. And inside, I gotta figure out what to put inside it. For the Wondrous Beauty. Inside the little envelope for the Wondrous Beauty, I have this telegram piece, and the back is the back of a scrapbook paper. And it fits perfectly right inside. And that will go right in here. A little bit sticking out over there. I love it. I love it. Next page. I didn't film it, but I did some stuff off camera. I made a belly band here, used a magazine flower and a button to make a sunflower, a little scrap of paper to make the stem, and another scrap to make the leaf. Behind the belly band, I put this card. It came from an Artsy Fartsy Life printable, and I just distressed the back with braid burlap. There's that, another page. Sorry I didn't film it. I am feeling a little burned out on filming lately. So there's probably going to be more, hey, here's what I did. And I'm doing a lot of the same stuff, so it's not like you're really learning anything new. If I decide to do something really crazy, I definitely will film the making of it. But as far as these journals specifically are concerned, I'm doing a lot of similar things. Things I've done in other videos, things I've done in this video, etc. Things that are really easy to figure out on one's own. So I think that's more of the way I'm going to go. Like, hey, here's what I did. This project I've chosen for myself, this challenge, is definitely daunting. So please forgive me, stick with me, we'll get through this. I just got to figure out another page to work on. I took this printable from Artsy Fartsy Life, distressed the edges with some vintage photo, stamped this little bee on some scrap paper, added some threads underneath it, and oh, before I even glued this down, I took the same stencil I used on the centerpiece of the first signature and just some mustard seed and spiced marmalade, Distress Oxide inks to add a little something down here. Then I glued it down. So there's that page. I think I want to add this tab and maybe something else up there. I just used a punch tab for that. And then I used a punch tab on some scrap paper, and I'm just going to glue them together. So now that center piece also has a tab. What to put up here? And how much of that will I see? Okay, a little bit. A little bit. Cool. Well, I guess that page needs to dry. It needs something. Maybe a little brown splatter. I've got a little bit of brown paint, brown acrylic paint, and water in here. So I added some of the iridescent rich bronze acrylic ink, and I dried it a little bit with the heat gun, but I've got to let it dry some more, and I think it's going to have to dry naturally. So I'm going to let that completely dry before we do anything else. I cut this off of a 12 by 12 sheet of scrapbook paper. It is 4 inches wide and then 12 inches long. I am going to flip it over and make a little pocket thing. Like that. And then it'll be a pocket. I'll glue down the sides and it'll get glued down to the page. So then you can open it up and see what's inside it. So I don't want this side to be this color, so I will distress it, I think. I'm not worried about the inside of the pocket so much because you're not really going to see in it. I'm just going to do like this part. Now I'm going to let that dry before I figure out a place to put it and how to decorate it. Alright, this page has dried beautifully. I love it. Awesome. Now I gotta find a page to glue this onto. Now I did, like I said I might, sew down the sides Even though I already glued it, I did decide I wanted that extra oomph. I figured out where this little guy's gonna go. On here, so that this page has a little bit of it on here. I'm gonna glue it down like a tuck spot. And then the flip out will be on this page. Cool. So I'm going to get my glue. Butt it up against the page. Hopefully to minimize seepage. And then that can be a tuck spot. And that looks super cute. Looks almost like a pocket. Now I gotta decorate it. And I want to decorate underneath here so that there's something here that you don't see completely that makes you want to open this. Here is what I did to this cute little page. On this side of the flip out, I added a tag and distressed with vintage photo. Added some little yellow pieces of scrap paper. And tomorrow may rain, so I'll follow the sun. Here I put a leaf die and some flower dies and punched out a circle from a piece of scrap paper. And in the pocket I have this tag, part of an Artsy Fartsy Life printable. And on the back I distressed it with vintage photo and used some more vintage photo through a stencil to make that bee. And then here I added a printable that I found online. I can link the Pinterest pin in the description box. A little bit of scrap paper and a stamped bee, and that is that. I'm gonna end this video here. I've done a few pages, still have a few more to go, but I am really pleased with what I managed to accomplish in this video. Again, like I said, I'm kind of struggling a little bit when it comes to just making videos in general. Drumming up the joy to get in here and craft. This time of year we've had so much going on over the summer. Just lots of activities keeping the kiddo busy. I'm hoping that once she goes back to school that my mojo will come back. Yeah, so I think I'm going to change up the frequency of the posting and how I post. So let me know what you think of the changes, and we'll go from there. So I'll end it here. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.